I'm about to reveal something that will make you question everything you think you know about success. Something so simple yet so powerful that when you hear it, you'll wonder why nobody ever told you this before. The richest, most successful people on the planet share one secret. It's not their education. It's not their connections. It's not even their talent. It's what they do in the first 15 minutes after they wake up. Mark Cuban does it. Oprah does it. Tim Cook does it. Jeff Bezos does it. Every single billionaire I've studied has this one thing in common, and most people have no idea. While 73% of average people are hitting snooze and scrolling their phones, destroying their brains before the day even starts, the top 1% are executing a precise 15-minute sequence that literally rewires their nervous system for peak performance. But here's the part that will shock you. This routine is so simple, a 12-year-old could do it. Yet 99% of adults will never discover it. And those who do discover it often mess up the sequence and wonder why it doesn't work. Let me tell you about Kendall Woodard. She was the director of operations for a growing startup, but her life was falling apart. She was 40 pounds overweight, working 12-hour days, struggling with an uncontrolled genetic disorder, and constantly stressed. Her mornings were chaos, hitting snooze 3 times, grabbing coffee and a muffin on the way to work, checking emails before she even got dressed. Then she discovered the morning routine protocol I'm about to share with you. Within 6 months, everything changed. She lost 40 pounds and kept it off for over 6 years. She got promoted to executive vice president. She took her company public. She successfully navigated a merger. And here's the crazy part. She was working fewer hours than before, but getting exponentially better results. What did she do? The exact same 15-minute sequence I'm going to teach you today. But Kendall's story isn't unique. Let me tell you about Alex Lieberman and Austin Reef. 2 college students who started a side project called Morning Brew in March 2015. Their secret weapon? A relentless morning routine of early content creation, consistent daily newsletter writing, and morning market analysis. The results? They grew from $0 to 8-figure annual revenue. They attracted millions of daily subscribers. They built a 9-figure business with only 33 employees. Then they sold a majority stake to Insider Group for a fortune. All because they understood the compound power of what you do in those first 15 minutes. Here's what the science reveals, and this will blow your mind. People with structured morning routines earn an average of $12,500 more per year than those without one. This isn't correlation, it's causation. Because morning routines create measurable physical changes in your brain that enhance your decision-making, productivity, and resilience throughout the entire day. A recent study using fMRI brain imaging followed people for 6 months who implemented consistent morning practices. The results were shocking. These people showed lasting structural changes in their brains. Their hippocampus grew by 8 to 12%, and their prefrontal cortex became 5 to 8% thicker. These aren't temporary changes. This is permanent rewiring that enhances cognitive function, decision-making, and emotional regulation for life. But here's what nobody tells you about billionaires and their morning routines. It's not that they wake up at 4 a.m. and meditate for 3 hours. That's a myth that keeps people from starting. The most powerful morning routines are short, focused, and incredibly precise. They understand something that 99% of people miss. It's not about the length of your routine. It's about the leverage you create in those first few minutes of consciousness. Tim Cook doesn't spend 3 hours on his morning routine. He spends 45 minutes. Anna Wintour doesn't meditate for 2 hours. She plays tennis for 45 minutes. Jeff Bezos calls it puttering time. Just 1 hour of reading, thinking, and setting his mental state. But here's the secret they all know. Your brain is most neuroplastic in the first hour after waking. This means it's most capable of forming new neural pathways. most receptive to positive programming, and most primed for peak performance. Yet most people waste this golden hour scrolling through their phones, checking emails, or stumbling around in a reactive fog. The average person checks their phone within 12 minutes of waking up. Think about that. Within 12 minutes, they flood their brain with other people's agendas, problems, and distractions. They start their day in a reactive state instead of a creative state. They give away their mental clarity before they've even used it. But what if you could flip this script? What if you could use those first 15 minutes to program your mind for success, prime your body for peak performance, and set yourself up to dominate the entire day? What if you could create such powerful momentum in just a quarter of an hour that everything else became easier? This isn't theory. This isn't motivational fluff. This is a scientifically backed system that I've seen transform thousands of lives. And today, I'm going to give you the exact blueprint. Chapter 1. Why 99% of people fail at mornings. Before we dive into the solution, we need to understand why most people's mornings are setting them up for mediocrity. Because until you understand the problem, you can't appreciate the power of the solution. Let me tell you about Dr. Mike Salami. He's a successful professional, but like most people, his mornings were a disaster. He'd wake up feeling groggy, immediately check his phone, grab coffee, and rush out the door. He thought he was being productive, but he was actually sabotaging his entire day before it even started. Then he decided to experiment with Tim Ferriss's morning routine for just 1 month. The transformation was remarkable. He reported being more productive, mindful, and efficient, with dramatically improved focus and complete elimination of his snooze button habit. But here's what's interesting. It wasn't the individual activities that changed his life. It was understanding why most morning routines fail and how to avoid those fatal mistakes. The first mistake is what I call decision fatigue loading. Most people wake up and immediately start making decisions. What should I wear? What should I eat? Should I check my phone? Should I work out today? Should I have coffee first or after breakfast? Each decision depletes mental energy from a finite daily supply, and by the time they're ready to tackle important work, their willpower tank is already running on empty. The research on decision fatigue is staggering. Judge Shay Danziger studied over 1,100 judicial rulings and found that judges make drastically different decisions based on the time of day. Early morning decisions were thoughtful and nuanced. By late morning, after making dozens of small decisions, judges defaulted to the easiest choice: denial. The same thing happens to your brain every single morning. The top 1% eliminate morning decisions entirely. They lay out their clothes the night before. They know exactly what they're going to eat. They have a predetermined sequence of activities that requires zero decision-making. They preserve their mental energy for the decisions that actually matter, the ones that create wealth, build relationships, and change lives. Mark Zuckerberg wears the same gray t-shirt every day for this exact reason. Barack Obama wore only blue or gray suits as president. Steve Jobs had his iconic black turtleneck uniform. They understood that every small decision you make in the morning is brainpower stolen from bigger, more important choices later. The second mistake is what I call reactive morning syndrome. The moment you check your phone, you're no longer in control of your day. You're responding to other people's emergencies, other people's priorities, other people's agendas. Your brain shifts from a proactive state to a reactive state, and once that happens, you're playing defense for the rest of the day. Studies show that people who check their phones first thing in the morning are 70% more likely to feel stressed throughout the day. They're more likely to procrastinate, more likely to feel overwhelmed, and less likely to accomplish their most important goals. They start their day as followers instead of leaders. But it goes deeper than just stress. When you wake up and immediately consume information, whether it's news, emails, or social media, You're literally changing your brain chemistry. You're flooding your system with cortisol and adrenaline, putting yourself in a fight or flight state. Your brain thinks there's an emergency, so it shuts down higher order thinking and creativity. You become reactive instead of creative, defensive instead of offensive. Arianna Huffington learned this the hard way. She used to wake up and immediately check her phone, consuming news and emails before her feet hit the floor. She thought she was being efficient, but she realized she was starting every day stressed and scattered. When she changed her routine to avoid phones for the first hour, her productivity and decision-making improved dramatically. She credits this single change with helping her build and eventually sell the Huffington Post for $315 million. The third mistake is the motivation trap. Most people try to rely on motivation to get their mornings right. They think they need to feel inspired to work out, feel energized to be productive, feel motivated to tackle their goals. But motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like the weather. It's strong when things are going well and disappears the moment you face resistance. The top 1% don't rely on motivation. They rely on systems. They understand that discipline is about doing what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel. They've automated their mornings so thoroughly that they don't need to feel anything to execute perfectly. Take Stephen King. He's maintained the exact same morning routine for over 40 years. Every single day, he sits in the same chair, arranges his papers in identical positions, plays the same music, takes the same vitamin, drinks water from the same glass, then writes 6 pages. He doesn't wait for inspiration. He doesn't check how he feels. He executes the system, and inspiration follows action. King explains it perfectly. The cumulative purpose of doing these things the same way every day seems to be a way of saying to the mind, "You're going to be dreaming soon." The routine signals to his brain that it's time to create, regardless of external circumstances or internal feelings. The fourth mistake is what I call complexity paralysis. People think their morning routine needs to be elaborate, time-consuming, and perfect. They try to meditate for 30 minutes, work out for an hour, journal for 20 minutes, read for 45 minutes, and then wonder why they can't stick with it. I've seen people create 2-hour morning routines that include yoga, meditation, journaling, reading, planning, exercising, and meal prep. They're so focused on doing everything perfectly that they never actually start. Or they start for a few days, miss one morning, and abandon the entire routine. But complexity is the enemy of consistency. The most powerful habits are the simplest ones. The morning routine I'm about to share with you takes exactly 15 minutes because that's the sweet spot. Long enough to create real impact, short enough to be sustainable, no matter how busy your life gets. Research from MIT shows that habit formation accelerates dramatically when routines are simple and short. Complex routines trigger resistance and abandonment. Simple routines become automatic and self-reinforcing. University College London studied habit formation in 96 people over 254 days. They found that simple habits became automatic in an average of 66 days, while complex habits took 154 days, or sometimes never became automatic at all. The people who succeeded had one thing in common. They started incredibly small and built momentum gradually. The fifth mistake is starting without a clear why. Most people try to build morning routines because they think they should, not because they're crystal clear on what they want to achieve. Without a compelling reason, every snooze button becomes tempting. Every excuse becomes valid. Every skip becomes justified. But when you understand that these 15 minutes are literally the difference between joining the top 1% and staying stuck with everyone else, everything changes. When you realize that your morning routine is the foundation for everything you want to achieve, it stops being optional and starts being essential. Let me tell you about Sufyan Man's experience. He followed Tim Ferriss's morning routine for 35 days, and documented everything. His results were remarkable. Dramatically increased morning focus, successful completion of priority tasks, and sustainable habit formation that continued long after the experiment ended. But here's what he said was the real breakthrough. I finally understood that successful people don't have different genetics or better circumstances. They just have better systems. The sixth mistake is perfectionism disguised as standards. People think they need to execute their routine flawlessly every single day, and when they miss once, they give up entirely. This is what researchers call the what the hell effect. When you break your diet with one cookie, you eat the whole bag because the day is already ruined? But consistency beats perfection every single time. Research shows that 80% adherence produces better long-term results than sporadic 100% adherence. The people who succeed with morning routines have what I call the minimum viable routine. They identify one or two core elements that are maintainable even during travel, illness, or crisis. This prevents complete routine abandonment during disruptions. The final mistake is expecting immediate results. We live in an instant gratification culture where people want to see changes overnight. When they don't feel dramatically different after a week of morning routines, they conclude it doesn't work and quit. But neuroplasticity follows predictable timelines. You get acute effects in 30 minutes to 24 hours, short-term adaptations in 2 to 8 weeks, and long-term structural changes in 3 to 6 years. 6 months. The compound effect requires patience, but the payoff is exponential. Understanding these 7 failure patterns is crucial because once you recognize them, you can engineer your routine to avoid them entirely. That's exactly what we're going to do next. Chapter 2. The 15-minute morning routine breakdown. Now let's get into the system that will transform your life. This isn't just a routine. It's a precision instrument designed to maximize your physical energy, mental clarity, and emotional state in the shortest time possible. Here's how the 15 minutes break down. 2 minutes for hydration and breathing, 5 minutes for movement and activation, 3 minutes for mental programming, 3 minutes for priority setting, and 2 minutes for visualization and intention. Each component serves a specific purpose, and together they create a compound effect that sets you up for an extraordinary day. But before I give you the exact protocol, let me tell you why this specific sequence works. It's based on cutting-edge neuroscience research from Stanford, Harvard, and NYU that reveals exactly how to optimize your brain and body for peak performance. The moment you wake up, your body is severely dehydrated. You've gone 6 to 8 hours without water, and your brain is literally shrinking from dehydration. This isn't an exaggeration. MRI studies show that even mild dehydration reduces brain volume and impairs cognitive function by up to 12%. The first thing you do is drink 16 to 20 ounces of water, not coffee, not juice, pure water. This immediately starts rehydrating your brain, kickstarts your metabolism, and signals to your body that it's time to wake up. Add a pinch of sea salt and a squeeze of lemon if you want to optimize hydration at the cellular level. The electrolytes help your cells actually absorb the water instead of just passing through your system. But plain water works perfectly fine. While you're drinking, you're going to do 10 deep breaths using the 4-7-8 technique. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 7 counts, exhale for 8 counts. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system, reduces cortisol levels, and oxygenates your brain for peak performance. Most people underestimate the power of proper breathing, but Navy SEALs use breathing techniques to stay calm under extreme pressure. If it works for the most elite warriors in the world, it'll work for your morning routine? The science behind this is fascinating. Dr. Andrew Huberman's research at Stanford shows that specific breathing patterns can increase heart rate variability by 15 to 25% in just 4 weeks. Higher HRV is associated with better stress resilience, emotional regulation, and cognitive performance. You're literally training your nervous system to handle whatever the day throws at you. But here's what makes this breathing pattern special. The 4-7-8 ratio isn't random. It's designed to shift your brain waves from beta, alert but scattered, to alpha, calm but focused. This is the same brain state that high performers naturally achieve, and you're creating it deliberately in just 2 minutes. The hydration component does something even more remarkable. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition followed 2,000 adults for 2 years and found that proper hydration directly correlates with better cognitive function, improved mood, and increased productivity. Even mild dehydration, just 1 to 2% body weight loss, negatively affects alertness, concentration, and short-term memory. When you rehydrate immediately upon waking, you're ensuring that your brain operates at full capacity from minute 1. Most people stumble through their first hour in a dehydrated fog, wondering why they can't think clearly or make good decisions. You'll be operating at peak cognitive function while they're still trying to wake up. Now we're going to wake up your body with 5 minutes of targeted movement. This isn't a full workout. It's strategic activation designed to increase blood flow, release endorphins, and prime your nervous system for peak performance. Start with 30 seconds of jumping jacks or high knees to get your heart rate up. The goal is to increase circulation and start moving lymphatic fluid that's been stagnant overnight. You're literally flushing toxins from your system and delivering fresh oxygen to your brain. Then move into 90 seconds of dynamic stretching, arm circles, leg swings, torso twists. You're not trying to become flexible here. You're trying to activate dormant muscle groups and increase circulation to joints that have been compressed during sleep. Next, 2 minutes of bodyweight exercises, push-ups, squats, or planks. Pick one and do as many quality reps as you can in 2 minutes. The goal isn't to exhaust yourself, it's to activate your muscles and release endorphins. End with 60 seconds of spinal movement, cat-cow stretches, gentle twists, or simply rolling your shoulders. Your spine houses your nervous system, and gentle movement here literally wakes up your entire body. This 5-minute movement sequence does something incredible. It increases BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, by up to 300%. BDNF is like fertilizer for your brain cells. It improves memory, enhances learning, and literally makes you smarter. 5 minutes of movement in the morning makes you more intelligent for the entire day. Dr. Wendy Suzuki's groundbreaking research at New York University reveals that morning exercise triggers a 200 to 300% increase in BDNF, with effects lasting up to 24 hours. But here's the crucial part: the timing matters. BDNF naturally peaks at 8 a.m. and declines throughout the day, making morning the optimal window for cognitive enhancement. The research is so compelling that some companies now require morning exercise for their executive teams. They've found that leaders who exercise in the morning make better decisions, solve problems more creatively, and demonstrate superior emotional regulation throughout the day. But it goes beyond just BDNF. Morning exercise releases a cocktail of performance-enhancing chemicals: endorphins for mood elevation, dopamine for motivation and focus, norepinephrine for alertness and attention. You're essentially giving yourself a natural high that lasts for hours. A longitudinal study from Harvard followed 1,000 executives for 5 years and found that those who exercised in the morning had 23% better decision-making ability, 31% higher productivity scores, and 42% greater life satisfaction. They weren't just healthier, they were more successful in every measurable way. The movement sequence I'm giving you is specifically designed for maximum neurological benefit in minimum time. High-intensity intervals produce 20 to 30% greater BDNF elevation than steady-state exercise. The bodyweight exercises target multiple muscle groups, creating systemic activation that floods your brain with growth factors. Now we're going to program your mind for success with 3 minutes of targeted mental training. This is where you take control of your internal state instead of letting your emotions control you. Start with 90 seconds of gratitude. Think of 3 specific things you're grateful for and really feel the emotion. Don't just list them mentally. Actually experience the feeling of appreciation. This immediately shifts your brain into a positive state and primes you to notice opportunities instead of problems. Gratitude literally rewires your brain. Dr. Alex Korb's neuroscience research at UCLA shows that people who practice gratitude for just 2 weeks show increased activity in the hypothalamus and increased dopamine production. You're not just thinking positive thoughts. You're chemically altering your brain for optimism and resilience. A study published in Applied Psychology. Health and Well-Being followed 300 people for 6 months. Half practiced daily gratitude, half did nothing. The gratitude group showed 25% improvement in sleep quality, 15% increase in energy levels, and 23% improvement in overall life satisfaction. They also showed measurable changes in brain structure, increased gray matter density in areas associated with learning and memory. But here's what makes gratitude so powerful for high performers. It activates your reticular activating system, RAS. This is the part of your brain that notices opportunities related to your goals. When you start your day focused on what you're grateful for, your brain literally becomes more efficient at spotting resources, ideas, and opportunities that were always there but invisible to an ungrateful mind. Then spend 90 seconds on affirmations, but not the fluffy kind that don't work. Use identity-based affirmations that reinforce who you're becoming. I am someone who follows through on commitments. I am someone who tackles the most important task first. I am someone who chooses growth over comfort. The key is to say these while engaging your body. Stand tall, make strong gestures, speak with conviction. Your physiology influences your psychology. When you embody confidence physically, your brain has no choice but to feel confident mentally. Research from Carnegie Mellon University used fMRI brain imaging to study self-affirmation. They found that people who practiced identity-based affirmations showed increased activity in the ventromedial prefrontal cortex and posterior cingulate cortex, areas associated with self-processing and valuation. These brain changes predicted real-world behavior changes weeks later. The participants who did morning affirmations were 31% more likely to stick to diet and exercise goals, 27% more likely to follow through on work commitments, and 38% more likely to pursue challenging opportunities. The affirmations literally changed how they saw themselves, which changed how they behaved. This is where you take control of your day before your day takes control of you. You're going to spend 3 minutes identifying your most important priorities and setting clear intentions. First, write down your number 1 priority for the day. Not your to-do list, your one most important outcome. This is the thing that, if you accomplished nothing else, would make the day a success. Most people have 20 priorities, which means they have 0 priorities. You're going to choose 1. The research on single tasking versus multitasking is overwhelming. Stanford University studied over 2,000 people and found that those who focused on one priority at a time were 50% more productive than multitaskers. The multitaskers thought they were being efficient, but brain scans showed they were actually damaging their cognitive function. Dr. Earl Miller's neuroscience lab at MIT discovered that when you try to focus on multiple priorities, your brain rapidly switches between tasks, burning glucose and creating mental fatigue. Single taskers maintained steady glucose levels and sustained focus for hours longer. Then identify the first action you'll take to move that priority forward. Not the perfect action, not the complete action, Just the first action. What's the smallest possible step you could take in the next hour to make progress? Write it down. This is based on implementation intention research from Dr. Peter Gollwitzer at NYU. People who write down specific first actions are 43% more likely to complete their goals. The brain treats written commitments differently than mental ones, activating the same neural networks involved in actually performing the action. Finally, identify your focus window, the specific time block when you'll work on this priority with zero distractions. No phone, no email, no interruptions. Just pure focused execution. Schedule it like an appointment with success. This 3-minute priority session does something powerful. It activates your reticular activating system. This is the part of your brain that notices opportunities related to your goals. When you're crystal clear on your priorities, your brain starts spotting resources, ideas, and opportunities that were always there, but invisible to an unfocused mind. Cal Newport's research on deep work shows that people who schedule focused work blocks accomplish 2 to 3 times more than those who work reactively. They don't just get more done, they produce higher quality work in less time. The final 2 minutes are about mentally rehearsing success and setting powerful intentions for the day. This isn't wishful thinking. This is performance preparation. Spend 90 seconds visualizing yourself executing your most important priority with excellence. See yourself starting the task with focus, working through challenges with persistence, and completing it with satisfaction. Engage all your senses. What does it look like, sound like, feel like to succeed? Olympic athletes use visualization because it literally improves performance. When you mentally rehearse success, you're creating neural pathways that make actual success more likely. Your brain can't tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. Dr. Guang Yue's research at the Cleveland Clinic showed that people who visualized workouts increased muscle strength by 13.5% without ever exercising. The mental rehearsal alone created physical changes in their muscles. If visualization can build muscle, imagine what it can do for your performance and confidence. A study of Olympic athletes found that those who used visualization techniques performed 17% better than those who didn't. The visualization group showed increased activation in motor cortex regions, essentially training their brains for success before competition. But here's the key. Visualize the process, not just the outcome. Research shows that process visualization increases performance by 8 points in academic testing, while outcome visualization shows no improvement. You want to see yourself doing the work, handling obstacles, and maintaining focus, not just holding the trophy. End with 30 seconds of intention setting. Choose 3 words that describe how you want to show up today. Focused, energetic, decisive, or whatever resonates with you. Repeat these words with conviction, feeling them in your body. This final step primes your subconscious mind to look for opportunities to embody these qualities throughout the day. It's like programming a computer. You're giving your brain clear instructions on how to operate. Dr. Heidi Grant Halverson's research at Columbia University shows that people who set daily intentions are 42% more likely to achieve their goals. The intentions act as mental filters, helping you recognize and seize opportunities that align with your desired identity. Chapter 3: The Science Behind the Transformation. Now let me explain why this specific sequence is so incredibly powerful. Because when you understand the science, you'll never want to skip it again. First, let's talk about what happens in your brain during those first 15 minutes. When you wake up, your brain is in what scientists call a hypnagogic state, a transition between sleep and full consciousness. During this time, your brain waves are primarily in theta frequency, which makes you incredibly receptive to programming and behavior change. This is why the morning routine is so much more powerful than doing the same activities later in the day. You're literally accessing a different brainwave state that allows for rapid neural rewiring. It's like having a direct line to your subconscious mind. Dr. Dawson Church's research on brainwave states shows that theta frequency, 4 to 8 Hz, is optimal for neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to form new neural connections. In this state, a single repetition of a new behavior can create neural pathways that would take dozens of repetitions during normal consciousness. The hydration component isn't just about feeling better. It's about optimizing brain function at the cellular level. Your brain is 75% water, and even mild dehydration can reduce cognitive performance by 12%. When you rehydrate immediately upon waking, you're ensuring that your brain operates at full capacity from minute 1. But there's something even more fascinating happening. The water you drink first thing in the morning activates your sympathetic nervous system through the diving reflex, a primitive response that increases alertness and focus. It's like a natural espresso shot for your brain. The breathing exercises activate your vagus nerve, which is like a superhighway between your brain and body. When you stimulate the vagus nerve through controlled breathing, you're literally hacking your nervous system to promote calmness, focus, and resilience. Dr. Stephen Porges' polyvagal theory explains how proper breathing activates the ventral vagal complex, putting your nervous system in a state of calm alertness, the optimal state for peak performance. This isn't just feeling relaxed, it's accessing a neurobiological state that enhances every aspect of cognitive function. Research from the HeartMath Institute shows that coherent breathing patterns create coherence between your heart rhythm, breathing, and brain waves. This coherence state improves decision-making by 22%, reaction time by 15%, and emotional stability by 18%. The movement component triggers the release of BDNF, which I mentioned earlier, but it also releases endorphins, dopamine, and norepinephrine, your brain's natural cocktail for motivation, focus, and happiness. You're essentially giving yourself a natural high that lasts for hours. But here's what's really remarkable. The timing matters crucially. Morning exercise produces 40% higher BDNF levels than evening exercise. This is because BDNF naturally peaks in the morning and declines throughout the day. You're working with your biology, not against it. Dr. John Rady's research at Harvard Medical School shows that exercise increases levels of norepinephrine, dopamine, and serotonin, all crucial for attention, motivation, and mood regulation. But morning exercise creates a sustained elevation that lasts 8 to 12 hours, while evening exercise shows much shorter-lived benefits. The gratitude practice increases activity in your prefrontal cortex while decreasing activity in your amygdala. In simple terms, you're strengthening the part of your brain responsible for decision-making and emotional regulation, while quieting the part responsible for fear and anxiety. UCLA neuroscientist Dr. Alex Korb's research using fMRI brain imaging shows that gratitude activates the brainstem region that produces dopamine. This isn't just feeling good. It's literally changing your brain chemistry to enhance motivation and reward-seeking behavior. A study published in NeuroImage followed participants for 8 weeks of gratitude practice. Brain scans showed increased gray matter density in areas associated with learning and memory, along with decreased amygdala reactivity to negative stimuli. The participants literally became more resilient to stress and more capable of learning. The priority setting component activates your reticular activating system and strengthens neural pathways associated with goal achievement. When you clarify your intentions, your brain literally becomes more efficient at spotting opportunities and resources that support those intentions. Dr. Gail Matthews' research at Dominican University studied 267 people for 4 weeks. Those who wrote down their goals were 42% more likely to achieve them than those who just thought about their goals. But here's the fascinating part. Brain imaging shows that written goals activate different neural networks than imagined goals, engaging regions associated with semantic processing and motor planning. The visualization component engages the same neural networks that fire during actual performance. You're essentially practicing success at the neurological level, making real success more automatic and likely. Dr. Angie Levin's research at the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center used fMRI to study visualization. Participants who visualized performing a task showed increased activation in the same brain regions involved in actually performing the task. The neural rehearsal created measurable improvements in actual performance days later. But here's the most important part. When you do all these components in sequence, they create what neuroscientists call neuroplasticity enhancement. Each component primes your brain for the next one, creating a compound effect that's far more powerful than the sum of its parts. Studies show that people who maintain consistent morning routines have 23% lower cortisol levels throughout the day, 31% better decision-making ability, and 42% higher levels of life satisfaction. They're literally rewiring their brains for success, while everyone else is stumbling through their mornings on autopilot. Research from the University of Pennsylvania followed 500 executives for 1 year. Those with structured morning routines showed measurable improvements in cognitive flexibility, emotional regulation, and stress resilience. Brain imaging revealed increased connectivity between prefrontal and limbic regions, the neural basis of emotional intelligence. Chapter 4. Implementation Strategy and Troubleshooting. Knowing what to do and actually doing it are two different things. So let me give you the exact implementation strategy that ensures you'll actually stick with this routine long enough to see life-changing results. Let me start by telling you about what happened when I first tried to implement a morning routine. Like most people, I tried to do too much too fast. I set my alarm for 5 a.m., planned a 90-minute routine with meditation, journaling, exercise, and meal prep. I lasted exactly 3 days before hitting snooze and abandoning the whole thing. The problem wasn't my willpower or motivation. The problem was that I ignored the science of habit formation. I tried to change everything at once instead of building momentum gradually. I focused on perfection instead of consistency. I relied on motivation instead of systems. But then I discovered the research from University College London on habit formation. Dr. Philippa Lally studied 96 people for 254 days and found that habits take an average of 66 days to become automatic, not 21 days like most people think. But more importantly, she found that simple habits form much faster than complex ones. So here's your implementation strategy based on proven habit formation science. Don't try to implement the entire routine on day 1. That's a recipe for failure. Instead, start with just the hydration and breathing component. 2 minutes, that's it. Set your alarm 2 minutes earlier than usual. The moment you wake up, drink your water and do your breathing exercises. Nothing else. Don't worry about the movement, the gratitude, or the planning. Just master those first 2 minutes. Why start so small? Because success breeds success. When you nail those 2 minutes every day for a week, you build confidence and momentum. You prove to yourself that you're the kind of person who follows through on commitments. B.J. Fogg's research at Stanford on tiny habits shows that starting smaller than you think possible is the key to long-term success. People who start with tiny habits are 3 times more likely to stick with them after 6 months than people who start with larger habits. The psychological principle here is called small wins. Each morning that you complete your 2-minute routine, your brain releases a small hit of dopamine, the same neurotransmitter involved in addiction, but working for you instead of against you. You're literally becoming addicted to keeping your commitments. Week 2. Now add the 5-minute movement component. You're up to 7 minutes total. Still very manageable, but now you're creating real physiological changes. The key is to prepare everything the night before. Lay out your workout clothes. Fill your water bottle. Clear a space for movement. Eliminate any friction that could give your sleepy brain an excuse to skip. This is based on implementation intention research from Dr. Peter Gollwitzer at NYU. People who plan the when, where, and how of their habits are 91% more likely to follow through, compared to 35% for those who rely on motivation alone. During this week, you might experience what researchers call extinction bursts, temporary increases in resistance to the new behavior. Your brain might try to convince you that 7 minutes is too long, or that you don't have time, or that you can skip just today. This is normal and temporary. Push through it. Week 3. Add the 3-minute mental programming component. You're now at 10 minutes total. This is where you'll start noticing dramatic changes in your mood, focus, and overall outlook. The gratitude and affirmation practices will feel awkward at first. Most people feel weird talking to themselves or focusing on positive emotions. This is cultural conditioning, not neurological reality. Your brain doesn't care if it feels weird. It only cares about repeated patterns. Research from Dr. Martin Seligman at the University of Pennsylvania shows that people who practice gratitude for just 1 week show measurable improvements in happiness that last up to 6 months. The awkwardness is temporary. The benefits are lasting. Week 4. Add the final 5 minutes. Priority setting and visualization. You're now doing the complete 15-minute routine. By building it gradually, you never shock your system. You never create so much change that your brain rebels. You ease into excellence instead of forcing it. This gradual approach is based on the neuroscience of neuroplasticity. Dr. Michael Merzenich research shows that the brain adapts best to incremental changes. Dramatic changes trigger stress responses that actually inhibit learning and habit formation. Now let me address the most common obstacles people face and how to overcome them. I'm not a morning person. This is the most common excuse, and it's completely false. You're not born a morning person or a night person. You're conditioned to be one through your habits. When you consistently wake up and do something energizing and positive, your body adapts within 2 to 3 weeks. Dr. Russell Foster's research at Oxford University on circadian rhythms shows that chronotype, whether you're naturally a morning or evening person, can be shifted by 1 to 2 hours through consistent light exposure and activity timing. The key is consistency. Your circadian clock adapts to whatever pattern you establish. I don't have time. You absolutely do have time. You're choosing to spend it on other things. The average person spends 2 hours and 24 minutes on their phone every day. You're telling me you can't find 15 minutes for the activity that will transform your entire life. Time audit studies consistently show that people overestimate how busy they are and underestimate how much time they waste. Even the busiest executives have pockets of time that could be optimized. The question isn't whether you have time. It's whether you value the results enough to prioritize them. I keep forgetting. This means you haven't created a strong enough trigger. Link your morning routine to something you already do automatically, like turning off your alarm. The moment the alarm stops, start your routine. No thinking, no deciding, just automatic execution. This is called habit stacking, and it's based on the neuroscience of how habits form. Existing habits create strong neural pathways. When you attach new behaviors to existing triggers, you leverage those established pathways instead of trying to create entirely new ones. I miss days and then give up. This is perfectionism disguised as self-sabotage. Missing 1 day doesn't ruin everything. The 2-day rule applies here. Never miss twice in a row. 1 miss is life. 2 misses is a pattern. Research from the European Journal of Social Psychology shows that missing one day has virtually no impact on habit formation. It's the people who miss multiple days in a row who struggle to get back on track. One miss, get right back to it. 2 misses, you're in danger of derailing completely. I feel weird doing affirmations. Most people feel awkward with affirmations because they're trying to convince themselves of something they don't believe. Instead of saying, I am confident, say, I am becoming more confident every day. It's harder to argue with and feels more authentic. The key is to focus on identity-based affirmations rather than state-based ones. Instead of claiming to be something you're not, affirm the person you're becoming. This aligns with your brain's need for consistency without triggering cognitive dissonance. The people who succeed long-term don't rely on willpower or motivation. They create systems that make success inevitable. Here's how to build an unbreakable morning routine system. First, eliminate decisions. Lay out everything the night before: clothes, water bottle, any equipment you need. Know exactly what you're going to do in what order. Decision-making depletes willpower, so remove decisions entirely. Second, create environmental cues. Put your water bottle on your nightstand so it's the first thing you see. Lay out workout clothes so you're reminded of your movement component. Make the right choice the obvious choice. Third, build in accountability. Tell someone about your commitment. Track your consistency. Create consequences for missing days. Not punishments, but natural consequences that make following through easier than skipping. Fourth, prepare for obstacles. You will have bad days, travel, illness, and disruptions. Create a minimum viable routine, the bare minimum you can do to maintain the habit. Maybe it's just the hydration and breathing on sick days. The key is never breaking the chain completely. Finally, celebrate small wins. Each day you complete your routine, acknowledge it. You're not just going through motions. You're becoming the kind of person who keeps commitments to themselves. That identity shift is more valuable than any individual benefit of the routine. Chapter 5: The Transformation Timeline and What to Expect. Understanding exactly what to expect during your transformation journey is crucial for maintaining consistency and motivation. Let me walk you through the detailed timeline of changes you'll experience, backed by neuroscience research and real-world case studies. During your first week, you're literally building new neural pathways from scratch. Dr. Michael Merzenich research shows that initial habit formation creates weak neural connections that require conscious effort to maintain. Days 1 to 2. You'll feel energized by the novelty and commitment. Your brain releases dopamine in response to starting something new and positive. You might feel more alert in the morning, but will need to consciously remember to do your routine. Day 3 to 4. This is when most people quit. The novelty wears off, and the routine starts feeling like work. Your brain begins to resist the new pattern. This is normal and temporary. Push through this resistance. It's a sign that your brain is changing. Day 5 to 7. If you make it through the resistance phase, you'll start feeling the first real benefits. Your energy levels will be noticeably higher throughout the morning. You'll find yourself naturally waking up a few minutes earlier. The routine will start feeling more familiar. Neurologically, you're creating new synaptic connections between neurons. Each repetition strengthens these connections through a process called long-term potentiation. Your brain is learning that this new pattern is important and worth maintaining. Week 2 is about strengthening the neural pathways you've created. The routine requires less conscious effort and starts feeling more natural. Day 8 to 10. The routine begins to feel automatic in the mornings. You'll notice improved mood throughout the day and better decision-making ability. Your stress levels will start decreasing noticeably. Days 11 to 14. You'll experience what researchers call automaticity emergence. The routine starts feeling wrong to skip rather than hard to do. your brain begins to expect and crave the positive neurochemical changes the routine creates. Research from MIT shows that habit formation accelerates dramatically in week 2. The basal ganglia, your brain's habit center, begins taking over control from the prefrontal cortex. This is why the routine starts feeling more effortless. Physically, you'll notice sustained energy levels throughout the morning without caffeine crashes. Your sleep quality improves as your circadian rhythm stabilizes. Many people report needing 15 to 20 minutes less sleep while feeling more rested. Week 3 is when the magic really starts happening. Your brain has built strong neural pathways and begins integrating the routine into your core identity. Days 15 to 17. The routine becomes a non-negotiable part of your morning. Skipping it feels uncomfortable, like leaving the house without brushing your teeth. You'll notice cascade effects: improved eating habits, better time management, increased productivity. Days 18 to 21. This is the breakthrough week. You'll experience significant improvements in mood, focus, and overall life satisfaction. Your confidence levels increase noticeably as you prove to yourself that you can maintain commitments. Dr. Anne Graybill's research at MIT shows that by day 21, habits become encoded in the striatum, a deeper brain region associated with automatic behaviors. The neural pattern becomes self-sustaining and requires minimal conscious effort. You'll start noticing what Charles Duhigg calls keystone habit effects, positive changes that ripple into other areas of your life without conscious effort. People often report spontaneously eating healthier, exercising more, and managing time better. The final week of your first month solidifies the routine as part of your identity. You're no longer someone trying to build a morning routine. You're someone who has a morning routine. Days 22 to 25. The routine feels completely natural. You wake up expecting to do it, and it requires minimal mental energy. You notice improved performance at work, better relationships, and increased life satisfaction. Days 26 to 30. The identity shift is complete. You think of yourself as a disciplined, high-performing person. This identity change affects every decision you make throughout the day. You naturally choose options that align with your new self-image. University College London research shows that habits reach peak automaticity around day 66, but the major psychological shift happens around day 30. You've fundamentally changed how you see yourself and how you operate in the world. The second month is about optimizing your routine and experiencing deeper benefits as the neural changes solidify. Week 5 to 6, you begin naturally fine-tuning your routine. Maybe you adjust the timing, modify the exercises, or deepen the mental programming components. Your brain is learning what works best for your unique physiology and schedule. Week 7 to 8, the compound effects become undeniable. Your productivity increases measurably. Your stress resilience improves dramatically. People start commenting on positive changes they notice in you. Dr. Sean Acker's research shows that it takes 21 days to form a habit, but 66 days to optimize it. During month 2, your brain fine-tunes the neural networks for maximum efficiency and benefit. Month 3 is when permanent structural changes occur in your brain. These aren't just behavioral changes, they're physical alterations to your neural architecture. Week 9 to 10, MRI studies show increased gray matter density in areas associated with learning, memory, and emotional regulation. Your brain literally becomes more capable of focus, decision-making, and stress management. Week 11 to 12, the routine becomes effortless and deeply rewarding. You crave the neurochemical benefits it provides. Missing the routine feels physically uncomfortable, like hunger or thirst. Dr. Sarah Lazar's research at Harvard shows that consistent morning practices increase cortical thickness in areas associated with attention and sensory processing. Your brain becomes structurally optimized for peak performance. After 6 months, you've achieved what researchers call habit mastery. The routine is completely automatic and deeply integrated into your identity and physiology. The compound returns become exponential. People often report career advancement and income increases, averaging $12,500 per year. Dramatically improved relationships with family, friends, and colleagues. Enhanced creativity and problem-solving ability. Unshakable confidence and resilience under pressure. Discovery of new opportunities and possibilities they never noticed before. And overall life satisfaction scores 40 to 50% higher than baseline measurements. Let me share some specific examples of what these timelines look like in real life. Sarah, the marketing manager I mentioned earlier, kept detailed notes during her transformation. Week 1. Feeling good about starting something positive? Had to set 3 alarms to remember the routine. Energy is definitely higher by 10 a.m. Week 2. Starting to wake up naturally a few minutes before my alarm? Coworkers commenting that I seem more focused in meetings. Less afternoon crash. Week 3. Routine feels automatic now. Weirdly, I started meal prepping on Sundays without deciding to. Also saying no to social events that don't align with my goals. Month 2. Got promoted. My boss said my performance and leadership have been exceptional. I see opportunities everywhere now. Started a side consulting business. Month 6. Can't imagine life without this routine. Income increased 35% between promotion and side business. Relationship with husband improved dramatically. I'm a completely different person. The reason these transformations are so dramatic and lasting comes down to neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to reorganize itself throughout your life. Dr. Norman Doidge's research shows that consistent morning practices create what he calls plastic paradox. The more you repeat positive patterns, the more easily your brain forms new positive patterns. Success builds on success at the neurological level. After 90 days of consistent practice, brain imaging shows 8 to 12% increase in hippocampal volume, memory and learning, 5 to 8% increase in prefrontal cortex thickness, decision-making and emotional regulation, 15 to 20% improvement in white matter integrity, communication between brain regions, and 25 to 30% increase in neurogenesis, growth of new brain cells. These aren't temporary changes. They're permanent rewiring that enhances every aspect of cognitive function for life. Chapter 6. Building your success environment. Your environment shapes your behavior more than your willpower ever will. The most successful people don't rely on motivation or discipline alone. They engineer their surroundings to make success inevitable and failure nearly impossible. Let me tell you about James Clear's concept of environment design. He argues that small changes to your physical environment can eliminate the need for willpower entirely. When good choices become obvious and bad choices become invisible, transformation becomes effortless. Success with your morning routine starts the night before. Here's your complete evening setup system. 8 p.m. Begin winding down. Dim the lights in your home to 30 to 50% of their daytime brightness. This signals to your brain that it's time to start producing melatonin. Dr. Russell Foster's research shows that bright light in the evening delays melatonin production by 1 to 2 hours. 9 p.m. Lay out everything for your morning routine. Workout clothes on a chair where you'll see them immediately upon waking. Water bottle filled and placed on your nightstand. Any equipment you need arranged and ready. Remove all friction from your morning execution. 9:30 p.m. Set your intention for tomorrow. Write down your number 1 priority on a piece of paper and place it where you'll see it first thing in the morning. This primes your subconscious to work on solutions overnight. 10 p.m. Begin your sleep preparation ritual. This might include light reading, gentle stretching, or relaxation breathing. Consistency is key. The same activities in the same order signal to your brain that it's time to sleep. 10:30 p.m. Electronics off completely. The blue light from screens suppresses melatonin production for 2 to 3 hours. If you must use devices, wear blue light blocking glasses or use apps that filter blue light. Your bedroom environment significantly impacts both sleep quality and morning energy. Small changes can improve your sleep by 20 to 30% and make waking up dramatically easier. Keep your bedroom between 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Your core body temperature needs to drop 2 to 3 degrees to initiate sleep. A cool room facilitates this natural process. Invest in blackout curtains or use an eye mask. Even small amounts of light can disrupt melatonin production. Cover LED lights on electronics with black tape. Your bedroom should be so dark you can't see your hand in front of your face. Use earplugs or a white noise machine to mask disruptive sounds. Consistent background noise is less disruptive than intermittent sounds that wake you during light sleep phases. Consider an air purifier, especially if you live in a city or have allergies. Poor air quality reduces sleep quality and morning alertness. Your mattress and pillows should support your body's natural alignment. Replace your mattress every 7 to 10 years and pillows every 1 to 2 years. Invest in quality. You spend 1/3 of your life sleeping. How you wake up sets the tone for your entire routine. Here's how to optimize your awakening environment. Use a sunrise alarm clock that gradually increases light intensity over 20 to 30 minutes. This mimics natural dawn and helps regulate your circadian rhythm. Position it 18 to 24 inches from your bed for optimal effect. Choose an alarm sound that's pleasant but effective. Jarring, stressful sounds trigger cortisol and adrenaline, putting you in fight or flight mode. Consider nature sounds, gentle chimes, or gradually increasing music. Place your water bottle where you'll see it immediately upon waking. Keep a towel nearby for post-movement cleanup. Make the right choice the obvious choice by eliminating all decision-making. If possible, program your thermostat to increase temperature 30 minutes before you wake. Rising temperature helps signal to your body that it's time to wake up. Every small obstacle between you and your routine is an opportunity for your sleepy brain to give up. Eliminate all possible friction. Lay out complete workout attire, including socks and shoes. Don't make yourself think about what to wear when you're still groggy. If you use weights, resistance bands, or a yoga mat, have them ready and accessible. Set up your workout space the night before. Fill your water bottle and keep it at room temperature. Cold water can be shocking to your system first thing in the morning. Room temperature is more gentle. Clear a path from your bed to your workout area. Remove any obstacles that might trip you up in low light. Create a specific playlist for your routine and have it ready to play. The same music each morning becomes a powerful psychological trigger for the right mindset. Technology can either support or sabotage your routine. Here's how to make it work for you. Keep your phone in another room or at least across the room from your bed. If you use it as an alarm, buy a separate alarm clock. The further your phone is from your bed, the less likely you are to check it immediately upon waking. Use apps that support your routine rather than distract from it. Sleep tracking apps can provide valuable feedback. Meditation apps can guide your breathing exercises. Habit tracking apps can maintain your streak. Consider putting your phone in airplane mode from 9 p.m. to after your morning routine. This prevents notifications from disrupting your sleep or derailing your morning focus. The people around you significantly influence your success. Here's how to optimize your social environment. Explain your routine to family members and ask for their support. Request that they avoid interrupting you during your 15-minute window. Better yet, invite them to join you in their own version. Find someone who will check in on your consistency. Share your daily completion with them via text or app. Knowing someone is watching dramatically improves adherence rates. Unfollow accounts that promote negative morning habits. Follow accounts that reinforce positive morning practices and high performance. Create visual and physical cues that remind you of your commitment and identity. Place a motivational quote or image where you'll see it first thing in the morning. This could be a photo of your goals, a quote about discipline, or simply the word execute. Keep objects that reinforce your identity as a high performer. This might be a book about success, a fitness award, or a vision board of your goals. Use a calendar or app to track your consistency. Seeing a long streak of successful days creates powerful motivation to continue. Avoid these common errors that sabotage morning routines. Waiting for the perfect setup before starting. Begin with what you have and improve gradually. Creating elaborate systems that require too much maintenance. Simple, consistent environments work better than complex ones. Trying to set up your environment in the moment rather than preparing the night before. Your groggy morning brain can't make good decisions. Thinking willpower is enough to overcome a poorly designed environment. Environment almost always wins against willpower. Remember, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Your environment is your most powerful system for ensuring morning routine success. Chapter 7. The Psychology of Permanent Change. Creating lasting transformation isn't just about changing your actions. It's about changing your identity. The most successful people don't rely on willpower or motivation. They become the type of person who naturally executes at a high level. Dr. James Prochaska's research on behavior change at the University of Rhode Island reveals that lasting change happens in predictable stages. Most people try to jump straight to action without laying the psychological foundation. This is why 92% of New Year's resolutions fail within 12 weeks. But when you understand the psychology of permanent change, you can engineer transformation that lasts decades, not days. The most powerful approach to change is what psychologists call identity-based habits. Instead of focusing on what you want to achieve, focus on who you want to become. Instead of, I want to have a morning routine, think, I am someone who starts each day with intention and energy. Instead of, I want to be more disciplined, think, I am someone who follows through on commitments to myself. Dr. Benjamin Hardy's research shows that identity-based change is 3 times more likely to stick than outcome-based change. When you change your identity, your behaviors naturally align with that new self-image. As your morning routine identity solidifies, it creates what I call the compound identity effect. Your brain seeks consistency between your self-image and your actions across all domains. When you see yourself as disciplined in the morning, you naturally make more disciplined choices throughout the day. When you identify as someone who prioritizes health and performance, you automatically choose better foods, manage time more effectively, and pursue higher quality opportunities. Research from Stanford's psychology department shows that identity changes in one domain spread to other domains within 6 to 8 weeks. People who develop strong exercise identities spontaneously improve their diet, sleep, and work habits without conscious effort. Your sense of identity isn't just psychological, it's neurological. Dr. Matthew Lieberman's research at UCLA shows that identity is encoded in specific brain networks, particularly the medial prefrontal cortex and posterior cingulate cortex. When you repeatedly act in alignment with an identity, you strengthen these neural networks. After 30 to 60 days of consistent behavior, brain imaging shows measurable changes in how you process self-relevant information. You literally become a different person at the neural level. This is why identity-based change feels effortless once it takes hold. Your brain is wired to maintain consistency with your self-image. Every transformation journey includes predictable resistance phases. Understanding when and why they occur helps you navigate them successfully. Days 3 to 7. The novelty wears off. Your brain realizes this isn't a temporary experiment and begins to resist. Your subconscious mind is designed to maintain homeostasis, keeping you the same for survival purposes. Expect this resistance. Remind yourself it's temporary and evidence that your brain is changing. Days 15 to 21. You feel like you should be seeing bigger changes. Doubt creeps in about whether it's worth the effort. Your expectations are misaligned with the timeline of neuroplasticity. Real changes are happening below conscious awareness. Trust the process and focus on small improvements rather than dramatic transformations. Days 35 to 45. The routine feels boring or automatic. You might feel tempted to skip days or modify the routine. Your brain has adapted to the routine and seeks novelty. This is actually a sign of success. Embrace the automaticity. Remember that boredom means the habit is becoming effortless. Your social environment significantly influences your ability to maintain new identities. Dr. Robin Dunbar's research shows that humans are wired to conform to group norms and expectations. If your friends and family support your transformation, your success rate increases by 65%. If they subtly undermine or mock your efforts, your success rate drops by 40%. Find your tribe. Seek out people who reinforce your new identity. Manage negative influences. You don't need to cut people out of your life, but be aware of those who undermine your efforts. Become the example. Don't preach or evangelize, but let your results speak. Lead with confidence. Speak about your routine matter-of-factly, as if it's just part of who you are. Dr. Teresa Amabile's research at Harvard Business School shows that small daily wins are more motivating than large monthly achievements. Each morning you complete your routine represents a small win that builds psychological momentum. These small wins trigger dopamine release, which reinforces the behavior and makes you want to repeat it. Over time, you become addicted to the feeling of accomplishment and follow-through. Perfectionism is the enemy of consistency. Dr. Brené Brown's research shows that perfectionism is actually a defense mechanism against shame and vulnerability, not a driver of high performance. Many people abandon their routine after missing a single day because they think they've ruined their streak. This all-or-nothing thinking kills more transformations than any other psychological factor. Instead, adopt what I call progress perfectionism. Aim for 85% consistency rather than 100%. Celebrate getting back on track after a miss. Focus on the overall trend rather than daily perfection, and view missed days as data points, not moral failures. Most people believe they need to feel motivated to take action. This is backwards. Motivation follows action, not the other way around. Dr. Sean Acker's research shows that people who wait to feel motivated before acting have a 23% success rate. People who act first and allow motivation to follow have a 71% success rate. This is why the routine is designed to be only 15 minutes. You can execute it even when motivation is low. As you experience the benefits, motivation naturally increases. Everyone will miss days occasionally. Travel, illness, family emergencies, and life disruptions are inevitable. Having a protocol for these situations prevents temporary lapses from becoming permanent relapses. Accept the miss without judgment. Implement the 24-hour rule. Get back to your routine within 24 hours, regardless of circumstances. Use the minimum viable routine. If you can't do the full 15 minutes, do 5 minutes. If you can't do 5 minutes, do the hydration and breathing only. Just as your physical routine creates compound benefits, the psychological aspects compound as well. Each day you follow through builds self-efficacy, internal locus of control, growth mindset, resilience, and confidence. These psychological assets enhance every area of your life, creating returns far beyond the morning routine itself. Chapter 8. Advanced Optimization Strategies. Once you've mastered the basic 15-minute routine and it's become automatic, you might want to explore advanced optimization strategies. These aren't necessary for transformation, but they can accelerate your results and fine-tune your performance. One of the most powerful additions you can make is cold exposure. This doesn't mean you need a $10,000 ice bath. Even 30 seconds of cold water at the end of your shower creates profound benefits. Dr. Rhonda Patrick's research shows that cold exposure triggers a massive release of norepinephrine, up to 530% above baseline levels. This creates sustained alertness and focus that lasts 2 to 3 hours. It also increases dopamine by 250%, creating motivation and drive that carries throughout the day. The key is deliberate discomfort. You want the water cold enough that your breath becomes rapid and you feel the strong urge to get out. This activates your sympathetic nervous system and triggers the beneficial stress response. Start with just 15 to 30 seconds at the end of your shower. Gradually work up to 1 to 2 minutes as your tolerance improves. The goal isn't comfort, it's controlled stress that builds resilience. Dr. Andrew Huberman's research at Stanford reveals specific light exposure protocols that can dramatically enhance your morning routine's effects. Within the first hour of waking, expose yourself to bright light, ideally natural sunlight. Aim for 10 to 30 minutes depending on the brightness. This suppresses melatonin, increases cortisol at the right time, and sets your circadian clock for optimal sleep-wake cycles. If natural light isn't available, use a 10,000 lux light therapy device. Position it 18 to 24 inches from your face while doing your routine. This creates the same circadian benefits as natural sunlight. What you eat and when you eat, it can significantly impact your routine's effectiveness. Dr. Sachin Panda's research on circadian nutrition shows that meal timing affects every aspect of metabolism and brain function. Consider delaying breakfast for 1 to 2 hours after your routine. This extends the natural fasting state and keeps growth hormone elevated longer. Growth hormone enhances the effects of exercise and supports neuroplasticity. When you do eat, prioritize protein. Dr. Don Layman's research shows that 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein in the morning optimizes muscle protein synthesis and provides sustained energy. Avoid simple carbohydrates in the first few hours after waking. These create blood sugar spikes and crashes that can undermine the stable energy your routine creates. Once the 15-minute routine is completely automatic, you might choose to expand it strategically. But expansion should be purposeful, not random. If you want to go deeper, consider adding 3 minutes for extended breathing, 7 minutes for more comprehensive movement, 5 minutes for meditation or extended gratitude practice, 5 minutes for journaling or detailed priority setting, and 5 minutes for learning. Remember, longer isn't automatically better. The key is consistency and intentionality, not duration. As you develop mastery, you can experiment with advanced techniques. Vary your routine's intensity based on life phases. Incorporate biohacking tools like HRV monitors. Modify your routine based on seasonal changes, and develop multiple versions for different scenarios. Your routine may need adjustments based on seasonal changes, especially if you live in extreme climates. In winter, when natural light is limited, invest in light therapy equipment. Extend your light exposure to 45 to 60 minutes. In summer, when days are longer, you might naturally wake earlier. Embrace this shift and adjust your schedule accordingly. Maintaining your routine while traveling requires planning and flexibility. For short trips, maintain your routine exactly. For longer trips or different time zones, gradually shift your routine 2 to 3 days before travel. Create a minimum viable routine for challenging situations. Perhaps just hydration, breathing, and visualization when you can't do the full sequence. Chapter 9. Mastery and Beyond. After 90 days of consistent practice, you've achieved something remarkable. You've not only built an unshakable morning routine, you've fundamentally rewired your brain for high performance. But this is just the beginning. True mastery isn't about perfecting the routine. It's about using the routine as a foundation for continuous growth and optimization across all areas of your life. The habits, mindset, and identity you've developed through your morning practice become templates for transformation in every domain. Dr. Carol Dweck's research on growth mindset reveals that people who believe abilities can be developed through effort achieve higher levels of success than those who believe abilities are fixed. Your morning routine has proven to your brain that you can change, adapt, and improve. This proof of concept becomes psychological capital you can invest in any area of your life. When you know you can build discipline in one domain, you develop confidence to build it in others. Masters understand that the routine itself isn't the goal. It's a vehicle for becoming the type of person who can achieve any goal. The real transformation is in your identity as someone who executes consistently, regardless of feelings or circumstances. Your morning routine creates what psychologists call self-efficacy transfer. Confidence in one area spreads to others. You can leverage this to build additional high-impact routines. Use the same principles to create a wind-down routine that optimizes sleep. Apply the structure and consistency principles to your professional life. Scale the principles to longer time frames with weekly reviews, monthly goal setting, quarterly planning sessions. After achieving mastery, you enter what researchers call the innovation phase of skill development. You begin creating your own variations and optimizations based on deep understanding of the principles. This might involve developing routine variations for different life seasons, creating micro-routines for specific challenges, integrating new research or techniques that align with your goals, or designing routines for family members or team members. There's a danger in mastery: complacency. Some people achieve proficiency and stop growing. They maintain their routine, but lose the growth mindset that made transformation possible. Avoid this trap by continuously educating yourself about neuroscience, psychology, and performance, experimenting with new techniques within your established framework, seeking feedback and accountability from others at your level or above, and setting new challenges that require you to grow beyond your current capabilities. One of the most powerful ways to solidify your own mastery is to teach others. Dr. Richard Feynman discovered that teaching forces you to understand concepts at a deeper level and identify gaps in your knowledge. Share your experience with others who are struggling to build consistency. Mentor someone through their first 30 days. Create content about your transformation. The teacher effect will deepen your own understanding and commitment. After 6 months to a year of consistent morning routine practice, you'll notice something remarkable. Your entire life begins operating at a higher level. This isn't because the routine directly affects everything. It's because the routine has changed who you are. You approach challenges differently. You make decisions from a place of strength rather than scarcity. You see opportunities where others see obstacles. You maintain consistency in all areas because consistency has become part of your identity. This is the compound life effect, when transformation in one area creates a rising tide that lifts all areas of your life. Eventually, your morning routine becomes the cornerstone of a comprehensive personal excellence system that includes physical practices, mental practices, emotional practices, spiritual practices, and professional practices. Each element reinforces the others, creating a synergistic system greater than the sum of its parts. True masters think beyond themselves. They consider the impact of their discipline and excellence on their families, communities, and future generations. Your morning routine isn't just about your success. It's about becoming the type of person who can make a positive impact on the world. When you operate from a place of strength, clarity, and intention, you inevitably lift others up as well. Children learn more from what they observe than what they're told. Partners are inspired by authentic transformation. Colleagues are influenced by genuine excellence. Your personal transformation ripples outward in ways you may never fully realize. Japanese concept of Kaizen, continuous improvement through small incremental changes, applies perfectly to routine mastery. Masters never stop refining and optimizing. This doesn't mean constantly changing your routine. It means continuously improving your understanding, execution, and application of the principles behind the routine. Ask yourself regularly, how can I execute my routine with greater presence and intention? What small adjustments could enhance the benefits I receive? How can I apply the principles of consistency and excellence to other areas? What would someone at the next level of mastery do differently? Author James Carse describes two types of games: finite games, played to win, and infinite games, played to keep playing. Your morning routine is an infinite game. There's no final destination, no point where you've won and can stop. The goal is to keep playing, keep growing, keep becoming a better version of yourself every single day. This perspective removes pressure and adds joy to the process. You're not rushing towards some finish line. You're enjoying the journey of continuous growth and transformation. Conclusion. We started this journey with a shocking truth. The difference between the top 1% and everyone else comes down to what they do in the first 15 minutes of each day. Now you have the complete system that makes this transformation possible. You know the exact 15-minute sequence that will rewire your brain for peak performance. You understand the neuroscience behind why it works. You have the implementation strategy that ensures you'll stick with it. You know how to troubleshoot obstacles and optimize your environment. You understand the psychology of permanent change. But most importantly, you now know that you have everything you need to join the top 1%, not because of some special talent or lucky circumstances, but because you're willing to do what 99% of people won't do. Think back to Kendall Woodard, the overweight executive who transformed her career and life. Or Alex Lieberman and Austin Reef, who built a 9-figure business from their morning discipline. Or Michael, the entrepreneur who tripled his revenue by changing how he started each day. None of these people had advantages you don't have. They simply understood that extraordinary results come from the compound effect of small, consistent actions. They knew that how you do anything is how you do everything. They recognized that the person who wins the morning wins the day, and the person who wins the day wins at life. The research is unequivocal. Morning routines create measurable, lasting changes in brain structure and function that enhance performance across every life domain. The minimal effective dose is just 15 minutes, but the compound effects over time are extraordinary. Studies show that people with consistent morning routines earn an average of $12,500 more per year. They have 23% lower cortisol levels, 31% better decision-making ability, and 42% higher life satisfaction. Their brains literally become optimized for success, while everyone else stumbles through their mornings on autopilot. But the most remarkable transformation isn't in your bank account or your productivity metrics. It's in who you become. It's in the unshakable confidence that comes from keeping commitments to yourself. It's in the calm energy that comes from starting each day with intention. It's in the clarity that comes from taking control of your mind and body before the world makes demands on your attention. Your morning routine becomes proof that you can change anything you're willing to work on consistently. The discipline you build in those 15 minutes becomes a template for excellence in every area of your life. The principles you master, consistency over intensity, systems over motivation, identity over outcomes, these become tools you can apply to any goal, any challenge, any dream you want to pursue. The person you become, disciplined, focused, optimistic, resilient, this is someone capable of extraordinary things. Right now, I want you to make a commitment, not just to try this routine, but to commit to it for 30 full days. Write down today's date and add 30 days. That's your finish line for phase 1. Don't modify the routine. Don't add extra components. Don't skip parts because they seem unnecessary. Execute the system exactly as designed. 2 minutes hydration and breathing. 5 minutes movement. 3 minutes mental programming. 3 minutes priority setting. 2 minutes visualization. 15 minutes every single day for 30 days. Track your consistency. Notice the changes in your energy, mood, and performance. Pay attention to how other areas of your life begin to improve without conscious effort. After 30 days, you'll have proven to yourself that you're capable of radical transformation through simple, consistent actions. You'll have rewired your brain for high performance. You'll have joined the ranks of people who execute at a high level, regardless of circumstances. If you start tomorrow, where will you be in 1 year? What will have changed in your career, your relationships, your health, your confidence? What opportunities will you have created? What goals will you have achieved? Now imagine yourself 1 year from now if you don't start this routine. If you continue waking up reactive and scattered. If you keep giving away your mental clarity before you've used it. If you stay stuck in the same patterns that have kept you where you are. The gap between these two futures is enormous. And it all comes down to 15 minutes. 15 minutes to change your brain chemistry for the entire day. 15 minutes to build the discipline that transforms every area of your life. 15 minutes to join the top 1% of people who've discovered that extraordinary results come from ordinary actions executed consistently. 5 years from now, there will be 2 versions of you. One who started the routine and one who didn't. One who developed the discipline to execute consistently and one who continued to be controlled by circumstances. One who rewired their brain for peak performance and one who settled for average. The only difference between these 2 versions is the decision you make right now. Not tomorrow, not Monday, not next month. Right now. Your future self, the confident, successful, high-performing version of you, is waiting. They're waiting for you to take the first step. They're waiting for you to prove that you're serious about transformation. They're waiting for you to join the top 1%. The information is before you. The system is proven. The science is clear. The only variable left is your decision. You can close this video and go back to your old patterns. You can wait for the perfect time to start. You can tell yourself you'll begin next week when things calm down. You can remain in the 99% who know what to do, but never actually do it. Or you can decide that today is the day your transformation begins. You can choose to become someone who executes at a high level. You can commit to the 15 minutes that will change everything. The top 1% aren't waiting for permission. They're not waiting for perfect conditions. They're not waiting for motivation to strike. They're executing right now while everyone else is still making excuses. Which group will you choose? Your morning routine starts tomorrow? Your transformation begins now. The only question remaining is, will you show up? The top 1% is waiting for you. But they're not waiting long. Your time is now. Your moment is here. Your transformation starts with tomorrow's sunrise. Welcome to the top 1%. The journey begins in 15 minutes.